Hello, this film is all about journeys and how we can make art from journeys. Now, a journey could be around the world. She went around the world on her motorbike, whereas there's a nice picture on her bike. So she wrote a book and she took lots of photographs, and it was a huge epic thing which took a very long time. Today we're going to do a very short journey. So here's a map of London. Are we going to go through London? No, even shorter. Make a list as you watch the film. Everything you can see and everything you can hear. Just make a list of all the things that you see and hear. Now then, your list, we can now turn that into artwork inspired by an artist called Richard Long. He's very famous for travelling all over the world, and when he travels around, he likes to do things when he gets there. Sometimes he'll turn over stones if he walks through the desert or somewhere stony, or sometimes he'll just keep a kind of a diary where he does a list of words. Now, for our film that we've just watched, I did a list of words just like Richard Long. So here's my list, and I've done them in an order. I've done them on blue paper because I did it on a very cold day, so I've chosen blue. But Richard Long, sometimes he does his words in circles, as we've seen, or different shapes. So maybe you could make your words go into a different shape. We start at the beginning of the film where I sniffed. It was outside, it was very cold, I sniffed. And then I've noticed the breeze and the footsteps, the bird. So there's things I've seen and things I've heard. And it goes on and on. It's not a very long journey at all. As you know, you've seen it. And then it finishes with Frozen Pond, but there's all those things going on in that. So that's one thing we could do. We could do a Richard Long piece of word art, which is also kind of like an English poem, I think, really. Or the other thing we could do is a walking book. Now this is where, for each of these things that we had here, we had sniff, for example, you draw something. So here's my drawing of a sniff. Now there's lots of different artists who like to draw to sound. There's an artist called Kandinsky, and he thought that every time he heard music it reminded him of colours. So he did paintings where he was reminded of colours when he heard music. So he painted to music. Here's a picture. So this is my idea of a sniff. Remember our first word on our list was sniff? And then I folded this paper, I'll show you in a second, so that each time you turn a new page or a new fold, there's something from the list. So it's either, can you guess what that was? That was just bird. So I've just done a little picture of a bird. It didn't make a sound, but that's just a picture of a bird. And then there's litter. And there's litter there. And that was a molehill, that's all. And there's a type of a plant that's growing everywhere. My cat's helping me as well. And so all these sounds and all these things in a folding book. Now, I got to the ice. Do you remember the ice? And it was crunchy, so I've drawn jagged, broken ice with, you see that, those little lines coming off there? I think that's a bit like sound maybe, so that's my picture. What do you think it sounds like me putting my foot on the ice? Going crunch? Maybe. So that's my folding book. So what I'm going to do is show you how to make a folding book. I'm going to have to move the cat as well. So that's the cat gone. Now we need some paper. Like that. And then pull across like that. See what I'm doing? It gets a bit confusing, get an adult to help me fold. And then again, it's a bit of practice this, paper folding. Again, I use 2 pieces of paper then, 2 pieces at once, which means I can undo them. That means I've got 2 pieces at once. So in each one of those folds, as I showed you with the finished one, you can do, as it happens, you can do a drawing. Now you could do this from remembering. You could maybe go outside with a phone and film something and then look at the footage, or you could take this out with you and you can make a mark. So the first one, let's go for, that was a sniff, wasn't it? So I did, that's my sniff. Do you think that looks like a sniff? I used thick pencil. So I went that. But that's, you could use, what else have I got? This is the fun of art. You can try all sorts of different materials. So I've got a pen here. It's quite a splodgy pen. So maybe it's a sniff is more like a pen mark, or maybe a sniff is more like felt tip. I think this is one of those really inky felt tips. Or maybe, as I've done there, maybe it's all 3. So there you go. And I'll look at my symbols again. So there's brambles there. We walk past some brambles, and when I think of brambles, I think of all the spiky bits. You really don't want to get caught up, so I put the spikes on. That's important to me, spikes. And there's my quiet birds. And these, dum dum, dum dum, that's my footprints. That's what I thought about footprints. And there's a bit of wind there, blowing past me. So that's my idea. You could copy my idea from my symbols, or you could think, there you go, what do you think that is? That's my great big tree, my yew tree that I walked past. So that's my symbols for my Richard Long kind of art, and that's my Richard Long kind of art, that's the words. Now, I was really lucky to go out on a very, very cold day. Crikey, it was very, very cold. It was less than freezing, it was freezing. And there's ice everywhere, so I had a bit of fun. And another artist I know, a famous artist called Andy Goldsworthy, he's been very clever with ice. So if you're ever out on an icy day, it's easy to get to ice. So remember, we don't go in rivers and things, do we, on an icy day? Very dangerous. Andy Goldsworthy, very clever by joining the ice together, by getting it to freeze together. It takes a long time, a lot of patience. So there's lots and lots of ideas for you. There's the walking book, where you can do all your little pictures of the things you saw, or the sounds that you heard, and it's the Richard Long words, or yeah, go out and move things around like Andy Goldsworthy. If you haven't got ice, maybe you can move pebbles around and try and stack pebbles up, that kind of thing. Lots and lots of ideas. So we'll finish off with when I was out at the frozen water, I got some broken ice and I was throwing some broken ice, and I think it made a lovely sound. So we'll finish off with me playing around with ice. And remember, if you ever do come near a big piece of frozen water, do not walk on it. It's very dangerous. Can you imagine falling in there? Terrible. So I didn't, you shouldn't, nobody should. Right, so we'll finish off with me playing with broken ice.